Fellow students, this is JEE Pathshala up with a new video on units and measurements. This is the first challenge out of the 37 challenges we have proposed. So today let us learn a new lesson on units and measurements. Before going into the topic, so students, the watch time from the subscribers is very low. So the number of not subscribed percentage is very low. So I request you to please subscribe to the channel, which gives me a lot of energy to take more videos. And these videos will help you in your JEE preparation. Going into the topic, the first topic is students, physical quantities. So what do you know about physical quantities? So if you know the meaning of physical quantities, then you're a topper. So going to the meaning of physical quantities are those quantities that can be measured. So example of these physical quantities can be mass, length, acceleration, potential energy, etc. Students, physical quantities are again divided into two more quantities, sub-quantities called fundamental or basic and derived quantities. Fundamental quantities are those quantities which are independent of each other. So these fundamental quantities or basic quantities does not depend upon the other quantities. Example of these fundamental quantities can be mass, length, time, amount of the substance, etc. So derived quantities are also known as dependent quantities, because these derived quantities are dependent upon the basic or fundamental quantities. Example of derived quantities can be velocity, acceleration, kinetic energy, work, force, etc. Here is a table 1 showing some fundamental quantities, and I suggest you students, this is the very important table to remember, which will be very helpful in your exam point of view. So there are total of 7 fundamental quantities, that is mass, length, time, current, temperature, amount of substance, and luminous intensity. We can see the SI unit of these substances also, that is mass, kg, length, meter, time, second, current, ampere, temperature, Kelvin, amount of substance, mole, luminous intensity, candela. So don't worry about these new names such as luminous intensity, amount of substance, etc. because you are going to learn about these substances and these meanings in your future classes. This table is must to remember, students. And now going into derived quantities. This table 2 is showing some common derived quantities like displacement, area, volume, speed, velocity, acceleration, force, energy, density, momentum, that is nothing but momentum, power, work, pressure, etc. So students, we have given the SI unit of these quantities also. Why do we call these quantities as derived quantities? Because these quantities are dependent upon the fundamental quantities. If we take the example of force, this force is dependent upon 3 things, that is mass, length, and time. So these quantities are called as derived quantities. The next topic is students, system of units. So we use this system of units in different countries, in different places, but we don't care about this so much. But today let us learn about the 3 system of units, that is CGS, MKS, and FPS. So what do you mean by CGS system of units? CGS system of units contain some physical quantities like mass, length, and time. So these mass, length, and time are measured in different units, in different system of units. So in CGS units, system of units, it is measured in centimeter, gram, and second. In MKS system of units, it is measured in meter, kilogram, and second. In FPS system of units, it is measured in foot, pound, and second. So the next topic is significant figures. So what do you know about significant figures? Did you heard it about first time? So let us learn about significant figures. So the significant figures is nothing but the number of meaningful digits which are known for you with certainty. So there are some digit in a number which you can tell it with some surety. Example, 45.678. If you take this number as an example, so 45.67 are the digits which you can tell with surety. But 8, the last digit, is uncertain digit, because this digit is not exactly the digit which we assume. So if we want to say the digit in more accurate value, so you need much specialized equipment which is not always available with us. So the last digit of any number is always uncertain, students. So how can we say the number of significant figures in a number? So we can say the number of digits which are significant in a number by using some rules, students. There are actually 5 rules which will help you in finding the number of significant digits in a number. For example, the first rule is all non-zero digits are significant. If we take an example as 1456, students, that is 1456, here all the digits are non-zero. So all the non-zero digits are significant, and the number of significant digits here is, students, 4. So the second rule is, students, zeros in between are significant. So if we take a number as an example, 43,007, that is 43,007. So there are 2 zeros in between these digits. So these digits which are between the other numbers are always significant. So there are total of 5 significant digits in this number, students. The third rule is zeros after the decimal point are counted. Students, if we take example as 43.00, as per the rule, the zeros are always counted when they're after the decimal point. As these 2 zeros are after the decimal point, these zeros are counted and the number of significant digits is 4, students. The next rule is zeros preceding and non-zero digit are never counted. So if we take example as 0.00456, so as per the rule, the 3 zeros are actually not counted and the number of significant digits is 3, students. Students, the fifth rule is zeros between decimal point are not counted. So if we take an example as 0.289 given here, so here the number of significant digits is only 3, where 0 is not counted as it is before the decimal point, students. Students, I have given some important practice questions which are very significant as per NCERT point of view. I request you to solve these questions without fail.
Students, we have seen what are significant figures and how to find out the number of significant figures. Students, now will find out how to perform arithmetic operations with significant figures, that is addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. There are certain rules to perform these arithmetic operations. The first rule is the result should have as many decimal places as there are in number with least decimal points. That is, the number of significant figures in the result should always be the least, as in the number taken in the question. This rule is applicable for all the addition and subtraction problems. In multiplication and division, the result should have least number of significant figures. If we take the summary of these rules, we can come to know that the result should always have the least number of significant figures. For example, 45.77 divided by 8.6 gives 5.3. Why do we have only two significant figures in the result? If you ask me, I would tell that as per the rule, there should be least number of significant figures as in the question. As 8.6 is having only two significant figures, I would consider only two significant figures in the result, students. The next topic is rounding off. So, what do you know about rounding off? We have heard from the childhood about rounding off, and we have seen in the many shops having shirts like priced 99 and 49, etc. Not really, but coming to the rules of rounding off, there are 4 rules, students.
The first rule is a number less than 5 should be rounded off to previous number. If we take an example 7.43, students, so as per the rule, the 3 should be less than 5. As the 3 is less than 5, it should be rounded off to the previous number, which gives us the result 7.4. Students, the second rule is a number more than 5 should be rounded off to the next number. If you take an example 5.67, as the last significant digit is more than 5, it should be rounded off to the next number as the result gives 5.7, students. Rule 3, if the digit is 5 and the preceding number is even, it should be rounded off to the previous number. Have you ever wondered how 5 should be rounded off to the previous or next number? Students, the actual rule of 5 is if we have 5 in the uncertain digit and the previous digit is even number, it should be rounded off to the previous number. Example 7.45. Rounding off gives 7.4 because 4 is an even number and it is rounded off to the 7.4. Students, if the digit is 5 and the preceding number is odd, then it should be rounded off to the next number. So, example 7.95, rounding off gives 8.0 as 9 is an odd number. Students, the next topic is dimensions and formula, and this is a very important topic as per JEE point of view. So, what do you know about dimensions? So, going to the topic, the definition of dimensions is nothing but it is the power to which the fundamental quantities are raised to express the physical quantities. So these dimensions are nothing but the power to the physical quantities. Example, the dimension of mass, length and time are represented as capital M, capital L and capital T respectively. Students, always remember these dimensions are always represented in a closed bracket. Don't forget to mention these closed brackets as this gives a good decoration in the exam point of view. If we go and check the dimensions of some physical quantities, example, going into the dimensions, example, if we take the example of velocity, so the dimension of velocity is nothing but L power 1, M power 0 and T power minus 1. So the SI unit of this velocity is meters per second. So how to find out the dimension of this velocity? If you ask me, students, so to find out the dimensions, we should know the formula and SI unit of this velocity. So velocity, what is velocity? What is the formula of velocity? Velocity is equals to the displacement covered in unit time. So the displacement, what is displacement? Displacement comes under length, students, and time comes under seconds comes under time, students. So mentioning the dimensions, we should mention L power 1, T power minus 1. But to make it more decorated, we always mention mass also, students. So the dimension will be represented as L power 1, M power 0 and T power minus 1, students. Next, dimensional applications. So we have learned what are dimensions and how to represent it. But what is the use of these dimensions? Where do we use these dimensions? If you ask me, students, so these dimensions plays an important role in physics. So these dimensions are helpful to check the consistency of equations. If you take an equation Q and another equation R, if you want to find out if Q is equals to R, then we can use the dimensional formulas to find out whether Q is equals to R, students. The second application is deducing relation among physical quantities. So if you want to find out a relation between two physical quantities, you can use the dimensions, students. So students, there are also some limitations in these dimensional applications, such as the first limitation is dimensionless constant cannot be obtained by this method. Students, if you take an example as angle, angle is always dimensionless quantity, remember, students. So this angle are, which is dimensional quantities, cannot be obtained. So we cannot find out the dimension of these dimensionless quantities, or we cannot use these dimensionless constants in problems. So this is one limitation of dimensional application, students. The second one is value of variables of powers of more than 3 quantities cannot be found out. So if you take more than 3 quantities in your problem solving, then we cannot find out the powers of those quantities, students. The next one is it does not give information of a quantity if it is scalar or vector. So if you take an example, acceleration, if you find out the dimension of acceleration, that is L power 1, M power 0 and T power minus 2, students. So this does not give out the information if it is vector or scalar quantity. This is also an important limitation of dimensional analysis, students. So this is it for the video, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned for more videos. Students, if you want the PDF of this video, then I will set a target for this PDF, that is 75 likes. So complete the 75 likes to obtain the PDF, students.